Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is a daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from right here at the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also your AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis N.
Hey guys, I'm trying to decide whether I should watch Hot Tub Time Machine tonight or tomorrow. Have you guys, either one of you guys seen it?
I'm going to go see it tonight.
Okay, what time?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay, let me know.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Also here, AMC's Christian Harloff.
I'm Christian Harloff.
As some of you may remember, District 9 Elysium director Neill Blomkamp released some concept art for an Aliens movie he claimed he did just for fun. However, we now know it was much more than that. Blomkamp yesterday released a new image with the message, "So I think it's officially my next film." There is no word on what the film will be about or if actress Sigourney Weaver would have a role to play. However, it should be noted that Weaver is one of the stars in Blomkamp's upcoming movie Chappie, which opens in AMC theaters on March 6th. John, your thoughts on the return of Aliens and the involvement of Neill Blomkamp?
I'm a little conflicted, to be honest. I like the idea of another Alien film. I especially like the idea of going a little more dark, more serious, because they started getting very comic booky with the Alien franchise, right? And had some merit, never really completely worked for me. So I like the idea. Clearly, if you're looking at a director like Blomkamp, you're looking dark, gritty. You're looking at that sort of thing. I also love District 9. I mean, I love District 9, but in our conversations about Chappie, I've pointed out, for me right now, Blomkamp is 1-1. He's got District 9, Win. He's got Elysium, which I found terribly disappointing. And I'm not super stoked about Chappie, although the most recent trailer of Chappie I thought was a lot better than the first trailer of Chappie. It's got me a little bit more interested. So I guess I'm going to have to see Chappie to really figure out if I'm excited about this news about him doing Alien or not. Because if Chappie's really good, hey, then he's 2-1. That's a winning record for me. If it's not so good, then maybe I won't be so excited. So for me, my anticipation level about this whole news is going to really depend on Chappie, which I guess we're going to find out in a couple of months. So that's how I see it. Hey, Dennis, what about you?
I'm excited for it. I think he's going to rebound with Chappie. Like you said, the first trailer for Chappie I thought was like, it looked like Short Circuit, just with guns. Yeah. But the second one looks a lot better, and you're right though, that when Chappie comes out and we watch it, that's really going to decide how we're going to feel about this news when that movie comes out. But right now I'm excited just because, you know, yeah, District 9 was fantastic. I loved that movie. Elysium, I don't think it was a bad movie, but it was very disappointing. But I think he has the sensibility and I think he has the passion for this Alien franchise that I don't know, you guys looked at the concept art, right?
Yeah,
it looked really, really cool. They had that one with Ripley and the space jockey helmet and just a lot of cool stuff. So I think I'm going to be positive and I think it's going to be awesome.
I'm super excited for it, and I agree with everything you said as far as the 1-on-1 thing goes, but I don't think anybody can deny, even because I didn't love Elysium, and I've stated why many times, but it looked incredible. The weaponry was outstanding. Everything he does, he sets up worlds great. For me, Chappie, even if it's not the best in story, I actually have high hopes for it, but even if it's not the best in story, I don't think there's a doubt this guy is a very brilliant filmmaker and knows how to set up worlds. What I'm excited about is this will be the first movie he does that's not just his own. It's not a thing that he created.
Good point.
And that's what I want to see, and I've always wanted to see that from him because there was one point they asked him about like Star Wars, and he said, I don't really want to, I want to just kind of do my own stuff. This clearly is not his own stuff, so he is a fan of it. We know he is great in the sci-fi world. Let's see what he does with someone else's franchise, but adding his special flair. So even if Chappie isn't great, I'm still excited for this because I want to see what he does outside the world of Neill Blomkamp.
Yeah, and if you're somebody like me, this is another thing too. If you're somebody like me where you're a little bit skeptical about Chappie, I remain a little bit hopeful but skeptical. One of the things, I think this news should give us some hope for Chappie because I choose to be optimistic and think, hey, some people are seeing what he's doing with Chappie and must think it's good if they're now saying, yeah, let's do Alien. So, hey, if you're looking for something to hang your hat on, maybe that's it.
Also, don't forget who is in Chappie is Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
So maybe you could think, you'd hope that maybe even behind the scenes they were kind of talking about stuff, and he's saying, well, what if? And she's kind of go back and forth. And maybe she really enjoyed work with him. Maybe she'll appear. Maybe she won't. Who knows?
Well, like the concept art, Dennis, you were pointing out, there's some concept art that shows kind of Ripley almost as a hybrid, right? So clearly he's got her in mind.
Yeah.
So I can only assume at this point. All right, what's next?
After the announcement that Gina Carano was joining the upcoming Deadpool film, many began speculating who the female lead of the movie would be. Well, we now have that answer, as The Hollywood Reporter is claiming Firefly and Gotham actress Morena Baccarin has joined the cast. According to the report, Baccarin will also be the love interest for Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. Dennis, is Baccarin a good addition for Deadpool?
I'm a fan of hers. Besides her being one of the most beautiful women on the face of the planet.
So true.
I liked her in Firefly and Serenity. I like her in Homeland. I think she does a really good job. Gotham, that's another story. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you know my thoughts on that show. But I think she'll play very well against Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, because she did that with Nathan Fillion in Firefly, kind of his like rogue type nature. I do think it's funny too, though. She's playing the romantic lead to Ryan Reynolds, who was also in Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, which
right.
Nathan Fillion was in as well.
Nice.
Christian?
6 degrees of bacon, if
Yeah.
you will. Yeah, I like it a lot, and I think that with her, I liked her. She's been on shows like Homeland, like you said, and even V when she was on V. But she hasn't really transitioned into film all the way through, and clearly hasn't like had a big starring role. And I think she's in another film coming up too. I forget what it was, but this is a big role for her. So I'd like to see the back and forth. I think she's very talented. Like you said, she's one of the sexiest women out there right now. To see her kind of step up, use her acting chops, go back and forth with someone like Reynolds, it could be fun. And this cast in general, it's not what a lot of other franchises. Oh, they're getting Oscar winners in this. It's capable actors, people that probably fit the role. And with Carano, the way it's shaping up, she's going to be there to kick a lot of people in the face. They're not going to have her say a lot. They're going to have Marina do the talking. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I love it, actually. I think this is great. And one of the big reasons, too, is something you already kind of alluded to, is I think her and Reynolds will have great chemistry together. You know, before the show started, we were talking around here, and I think Ashley mentioned, holy crap, she's really hot. And it's like, well, yeah, she is. She is one of the hottest women around. But one of the things that makes her so incredibly sexy is this grace she carries herself with. And that transcends whether you look at her in any of the shows she's done, you know? And I am not a big fan of Gotham, but when she's on it, it's surprisingly watchable. Like, she brings that element to it, and I think she has a way of developing chemistry with all of her, whether, you know, leading co-stars or other leading men, to create something really workable on screen. So I think this is nothing but good news. I'm excited about it. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Actress Kristen Bell has joined the cast of the upcoming Universal comedy Michelle Darnell, which will star Melissa McCarthy in the title role along with Kathy Bates and Peter Dinklage. Michelle Darnell is described as the title character, described as a titan of industry who goes to jail after she's caught for insider trading. Upon her release, she tries to rebrand herself, but soon discovers that not everyone is ready to forgive her, including those who she ripped off. Kristen Bell is playing the title character's former assistant, a single mother trying to start her own cupcake business, who helps Michelle on her quest to create a new image. Michelle Darnell is set to hit AMC theaters on April 8, 2016. Christian, buy or sell the sounds of Michelle Darnell with Kristen Bell attached?
I'm going to sell it, and I'm selling, and I hate why I'm selling it. I'm selling it because of Ben Falcone, who's directing it, who's Melissa McCarthy's husband, who I like, and I really, anytime he pops up on screen, I'm excited to see him. He just directed and wrote Tammy. Right. He is putting his wife in another movie and writing it again. This, to me, a lot of times is what have you done for me lately? Especially when you're the first-time director, you did Tammy, now you're doing this. It doesn't sound like something that I'm super looking forward to see. It doesn't have a cast that I'm like, well, that's going to be hysterical. I want him to separate from Melissa McCarthy. I really want him to move away from her a little bit, too. I want to see what he can do on his own and not have something that he wrote for his wife again. So right now, I want to see a trailer, but for now, the sound of it is the question on the table. I'm selling it.
Dennis?
I'm going to regret this purchase, but probably later. But I'm going to buy it.
Buyer's remorse.
Yes, I'm going to buy it. At first, when she was reading the plot synopsis, I was thinking, oh, and then she hires someone to teach her how she's going to survive in jail. The Get Hard female version. I like Melissa McCarthy. Yeah, she plays a lot of the same characters in her movies. I'm still a fan of hers. Kristen Bell, I'm a huge fan of, and I think she needs a hit, not Frozen withstanding, you know, because that was an animated movie. But
right.
She needs a hit. She hasn't been in a hit movie since, what, Forgetting Sarah Marshall or something like that. And I think
the only hit movie she's ever done.
Yeah, and I think she has star quality, potential. I think she could be a big star. She has the acting chops, the charisma, and all that stuff, the looks, everything. but I think she needs something. Maybe this is it. Maybe it'll be something else.
But let's not forget, too, she's got a great TV show going right now in House of Cards with Don Cheadle, right? So she's got stuff going on. I am also probably going to regret this, but I'm going to just by a hair, I'm going to buy it. My big reservation is the one you pointed out. But, you know, the synopsis sounds interesting. If they can avoid the temptation to just make Melissa McCarthy the same character she always is, maybe do something a little bit different with her, I think the synopsis reads kind of nice. This could be a nice, sweet, you know, enjoyable little comedy if done the right way. But yes, I am probably going to regret this later and say, oh, I should have listened to Kristen. I will say this thing about Kristen Bell. Huge fan of hers. Really, I think she's just wonderful. Became a massive fan of hers with Forgetting Sarah Marshall. But we were at Comic-Con this past year, and we were at one of our parties, and I saw this publicist that we know, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and I went up and I started talking with him. He was talking with somebody, but I went up and talked to him, and we chatted for a minute. He said, oh, by the way, John, this is my friend Kristen, and it was this blonde woman, and I turned to her just very politely, shake her hand, and then completely ignore her, turned back to my buddy that I hadn't seen in a while, talked to him for a little bit more, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, well, I got to go and talk to a few other people, and I turned around and walk away. And I took about 5 steps, and I realized that was Kristen Bell. Damn it, I totally blew it. Totally blew it. Anyway, okay, what's next?
According to a report at The Wrap, the 1971 classic Shaft is getting a reboot. The original Shaft starred Richard Roundtree, with the first reboot in 2000 starring Samuel L. Jackson. No word yet on who would be playing the legendary character, but it's being assumed that Jackson won't be reprising the role. John, buy or sell the return of Shaft?
I'm going to buy it. I am. Now, the only reason I'm not going to super enthusiastically buy it is because there's a spoof version of, I mean, Shaft is already kind of 10% spoof anyway, but there's a true spoof version of it that I think I prefer even more, which is Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
Like, Black Dynamite, I want to see another Black Dynamite, man. I want to see another one of those movies so badly. They did such a great job with that. And that's part of my hesitation, but also feeding my enthusiasm to see another Shaft movie. Look, it's going to all be about two things. Who do they cast? I mean, that's huge, because it's all about the character, right? Who do you cast, and what tone are they going to try to take? Are they going to go more tongue-in-cheek? Are they going to try to make it a real hard-hitting, you know, crime cop movie, whatever? It really depends. And I don't know which one is the right or the wrong way for them to do it either. It really depends how it plays out. But who do they cast? What's the tone? That's going to be all about it. But for now, I'm going to buy it, Christian.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is I'm going to put it on layaway because because for me it's a matter of not only that, all the points you just made, but also the director. And you know, they bring someone in who's not just hired for a job, but someone who actually loves Shaft and wants to do something like a Tarantino version of Shaft. Yeah, buy it tomorrow.
Oh,
you know
can you imagine Tarantino directing Shaft?
That's when you asked me that question. I go, buy. You're kidding me, buy.
Yeah.
But then then they're just like, well, what about a Roland Emmerich version? Then you're like, sell. You know, so it's tough right now as far as who you put on there, and like you said, the cast of it. But the overall today, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
If there was a Tarantino version, I'd definitely buy it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to sell this. I mean, the original Shaft in 1971 was like, it's not the first blaxploitation film, but it was the most famous one, and it made a lot of money.
Dolomite will say, hey, wait a minute.
But at that time, it was serving kind of like a underserved market. Nowadays, it's not. We do need more diversity in Hollywood. That's a given. But it's not as underserved as it was when it came out. There are lead black male actors that are action stars. So I don't know. I'd rather say Black Dynamite too, like you say.
All right, what's next?
It looks like J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot production company is getting into the biopic game. According to reports, Bad Robot is going to be producing a film on Thomas Edison. Dennis, buy or sell a Bad Robot produced Thomas Edison biopic?
I like Bad Robot, I like J.J. Abrams, but I'm going to have to sell this just because the track history of Bad Robot, it's all genre stuff. It's Star Trek, Lost, now the Star Wars, Fringe, Alias. Everything they do is a genre film. I haven't seen them do anything close to a biopic, and I'm worried that they're going to make Thomas Edison like invent a time machine, and he's going to go back in time and like fight the dinosaurs or something like that. So for me, it's a sell.
I am also going to sell it, but I would change that to a buy if they did exactly if they Abraham Lincoln vampire hunted this thing, only made it fun and good. Otherwise, I love that notion of a Thomas Edison biopic. I really do, and I like what Bad Robot has produced. But it's exactly what you were saying. It's a matter of fit. Then again, it's not like they've done anything in this genre that makes me think they can't do it. We just haven't seen them try it yet. So my buy will be a very hesitant, or my sell will be a very, very hesitant sell.
It's a huge buy for me. As Edison said, be inventive, boys. The whole point is the fact that Bad Robot hasn't done stuff like this, and instead of staying in their same genre, they're moving. They're going to try something else, and they're going to further their company. That's what we all do when we have a business. What else do you do to further that business? How about taking one of the greatest inventors of all times? I am fascinated by his story. There have been portrayals of him in the past, but nothing like when you think of Lincoln. Now you think of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. Right.
It's been so many times, but a really great. And because of the relationships that Bad Robot has, whether it's someone in the Spielberg camp, in the lineage of those types of directors that takes a hold of it, and someone just like we were talking about before, who is really into the story and his life to know so much. Like, I don't think they're just going to throw it out there and time machines and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, too.
You don't want to see him fight dinosaurs?
No, we saw what happened with the Vampire Hunter, so I'm all right. But overall, I'm fascinated by this, and I actually really enjoy what Bad Robot does as a production company, so I buy it.
All right, folks. Well, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovienews@gmail.com. Or sorry, I should say amcmovietalk@gmail.com. So send on your questions anytime. Maybe you'll see it answered right here on Movie Talk, or maybe you'll see it on our weekend Mailbag show. But I want to remind you, too, if you're watching us live right now, you can tweet in some questions right now to @AMC Movie News, and Ashley will pick out a couple at the end of the show. We'll save a couple of minutes for some live Twitter questions. But for now, let's get to the mailbag. Ashley, what do we got?
William White writes, "Hey guys and gals, love the show. The next Star Wars movie looks amazing, but I'm worried that the quality of the movies will diminish because they plan too many. What worries me more is that Star Wars will be crushed under the weight of a bunch of mediocre novels and comics. The old EU was never canon, thank God, but I'm worried that too much Star Wars will kill my favorite movie franchise. Your thoughts?"
I don't think the number of Star Wars movies says anything towards whether that means they'll be better, or whether that means, oh, this could make it bad because there's too many to do. I've never understood that, and some people try to argue against this comparison I make, but the comparison is very valid. Nobody said, wait a minute, you're going to do 12 episodes of Breaking Bad? That's too many! We can't do 12 episodes of Breaking Bad in 1 year. Way too many. Of course you can. It's all about each individual film will be its own thing, and do they treat each individual film with respect and care and put in the creativity and the excitement, all that kind of stuff. That's all that matters. Now, as far as your comment about the expanded universe stuff, I am actually in agreement with you. I was not happy when they said, well, first of all, I was happy when they definitively said all EU stuff is non-canon, except for the Thrawn trilogy. I was kind of hoping that would sneak in. But I was not personally happy when they said all expanded universe stuff moving forward, all the new stuff they create, the video games, the comic books, the novelizations and stuff like that, those are all canon. I think they are setting themselves up for disaster. I really do. I think in a couple of years they're going to realize they have weaved so many webs that they're eventually going to become self-contradictory, and it's going to become a pain in the ass and a hassle. I hope I'm wrong. I've read 2 of the new Star Wars Expanded Universe novels so far. There are only 2 so far.
Only 2 novels. The third one comes out in March.
Right. The third one comes out in March. I was not a big fan of A New Dawn. Actually, I thought it was actually kind of boring. But I was a huge fan of their Tarkin one. So there's a novel out there just on Grand Moff Tarkin, which was really, really great. So I'm enjoying some of the stuff. I just think long term, I don't think they thought this out. And I think they're going to I think for the first year or 2, it's going to feel great. And later it's going to be disaster. I really hope I'm wrong, and I hope it just all turns out to be daisies and rainbows. But anyway, Christian, your thoughts on all this?
I got to completely disagree with you on it, is because for what they didn't do with the old expanded universe was they didn't have this
control
and this story group.
Yeah.
They didn't have this group that knew exactly what was going on with Pablo Hidalgo and Leland Shee. All the authors, all the video games. Everyone checks in with these guys to figure out, and they find out exactly what is happening in the timeline. Excuse me. And the comic books, the Star Wars comics, and the Darth Vader comic that has come out so far, they have interweaved the in-between. I think it actually furthers the story, and I think Rebels, Simon Kinberg, and all these guys know the involvement of the team now is something that you never had before. And to go into the question as far as films go, what you have to realize is, because I know the initial thought is, because Maud Garrett and I were talking about this the other day actually, is the thing is, when the initial thought with these movies That's too many. One Star Wars movie a year is too many. Two is going to be too many. You forget there's just two things we don't know. First, we haven't seen the execution of the first two films. We haven't seen Episode 7, and we haven't seen the standalone movie. The other thing is, inside of all of this, is that there's so much history with Star Wars. You have the 30 years in between, or 20 years between Episode 3 and 4, and then 30 years in between Episode 6 and 7, and then let's not forget about the Old Republic, which hasn't even been touched yet. There's so much there that, like any other universe, that they can, new characters, different genres, splitting up to what they did with Marvel, spy genre, space operas. There's so much you can do. It's execution first, and then people will want more. Right now, I get the whoa, 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 but I think that'll change.
Dennis?
Well, I'm not too worried either, just because, take the Marvel Universe, for example. Disney bought Marvel, and then they create how many movies? At least 2 movies a year. They're going to expand to 3 movies a year. And maybe some people would argue with this, but they really haven't put out any stinkers. They put ones that were fantastic. They put out some that were good, and there were some that were mediocre. But the quality has shown through, and I think Disney owning Star Wars, that's going to happen the same way. We're going to see some fantastic ones. We're going to see some just good ones, and we're going to see some mediocre ones. But I don't think they're going to take the franchise. The way that the question sounds is like it's just going to, because there's too many, that it's just going to keep going down, down and down, and then it's just going to completely suck. So I'm not worried about that happening.
All right, what's next?
Will Jones writes, "Hey AMC, I have a question about the Rocky franchise and the upcoming Creed. We all know the first Rocky won Best Picture, so my question is, do you think Creed has Oscar eligibility, and why do you think the Rocky sequels were never considered to be Oscar worthy? I know they're not the greatest movies, but why weren't they at least considered for an Oscar? Is it because at that point they were franchise films?"
Well, you just kind of answered it yourself. They weren't the greatest movies. I mean, that's that kind of answer. Now, don't get me wrong. You give me Clubber Lang any day, I'll watch that movie a million times. But that was not an Oscar caliber film. I love the Von Drago, but don't get me that is not an Oscar caliber film. That's why they didn't get. You could have a discussion about Rocky 2, I think.
Yeah.
You could have a discussion about Rocky 2. But the rest of them is because they weren't that good. And whether or not it's because it's franchise films, last time I checked, Godfather Part 2 won Best Picture. Godfather Part 3 was nominated for Best Picture. All 3 Lord of the Rings films were nominated for Best Picture, winning 11 Oscars with the last one. So they really don't care whether something's a franchise or not. So like I said, it feels like you kind of answered your own question. You say, I know they weren't the greatest movies, period. We don't have to move on from there. I don't know. But as far as Creed goes, it depends on Creed. If Creed is great and awesome on every level and is that type of a movie, then yes, it is Oscar eligible by all means. But until we actually see something, it's far too soon to speculate whether it has a chance or not at any kind of Oscars, Dennis.
I'm really looking forward to Creed, just because I'm a fan of the Rocky franchise, even the ones that weren't as good. Probably the 5th one is probably my least favorite, but I still even enjoyed that one. I actually like the latest one, Rocky Balboa.
Loved 6.
Yeah,
Loved
like it kind of harkened back to the original Rocky. And so I think, and Michael B. Jordan, like he's fantastic. He's one of the best young actors today. So him playing Creed's, grandson, and learning how to box, I'm all for it.
I take issue that they're not great movies. I agree with the Oscar.
Of course they're great movies.
They are great movies, except the 5th one.
On a certain level.
Yes, on a certain level. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That's why, especially 3 and 4, were not, because they were different. They were more popcorn movies than anything else.
Yes.
And so, as far as Creed goes, the one reason, if you would have asked me this question without knowing the release date, I would be like, it's probably not going to happen. But I don't know. The studio has confidence at putting it in November. When you drop a movie in November and you have a director like Ryan Coogler, who there was a lot of talk about Fruitvale Station and what he did with
Michael
that
B. Jordan
movie.
in Fruitvale Station, what he did with Michael B. Jordan in that.
It's not far-fetched. I think it's a long shot, but depending on how it comes out and how it's written and the way that it's approached, if it's less popcorn and more Rocky 1, it absolutely has a shot. And boxing movies do pretty well in the Oscar race if they're done well.
The Rocky franchise, the same thing happened to the Rambo franchise. The first one was kind of gritty and dark and more of a drama, and then later, it became like, who can I kill?
Right,
Who
that's
can
true.
I kill? All right, folks, I said we'd save a few minutes for your live Twitter questions. We're going to do that right now. Tweet on in your questions to @AMC Movie News. Make sure you're following us there on Twitter as well. So, Ashley, what have you picked out for us?
Nikolaj Lauritsen writes, "Hey AMC, how much do you think the return of Spider-Man in the MCU is going to change the overall story Marvel had planned?"
I hope not too much. I mean, if you've got a plan and you know your story arc, then the addition of a character or two here or there, you should be able to do that with the right screenwriters. I hope it doesn't change their direction too much. So I don't think a lot. I don't think it'll change. Now remember, that doesn't mean Spider-Man can't have a serious presence. Right now, all we know is that he's going to appear in one film. That's the only thing that's confirmed. But that doesn't mean he can't have a large presence. But just because you introduce a character with a large presence, that doesn't mean you have to change the course of your story. You just find a way to fit him into that story. So I'm going to go ahead and just guess, that's a pure word here, guess, that it's not going to change their plans all that much. Anyway, Christian.
I'm guessing as well too, but I actually think that they are altering it a lot because from the rumors, pure rumors, with that they always had 2 scripts for Civil War. The one was if they were able to get Spidey, and one was if they had to use Black Panther. So it looks like they're probably going to use the one with Spidey if that indeed was the case. That's going to alter it already because he's going to have a prominent role in Civil War. And whether or not whether or not Tony Stark is more of the antagonist in that one, I don't know how that's going to play out with him and Spidey. So I think, and there's going to be some characters that pop in now to this standalone Spider-Man film from the MCU. So I think because when they got it, it's also when if you think of a baseball team and you get a big franchise player you weren't expecting, you have to shift your lineup. You have to shift. There's a lot of things you have to shift, and your overall team direction. So I think that it's going to actually cause a lot of change. And they've pushed stuff back in Marvel. Their slate. The second they announced this, we're moving Captain Marvel now. We're moving this. Maybe they sneak something else in there. I don't know.
But I think what stands out to me though is that none of it changes or alters their position in relativity to Infinity, right? So what I kind of think is that, look, they have their plan of their story. Our characters start here. They're going to get here, and then they're going to end up here, which sets up Infinity for here, here, and here. Now, I think what the only changes we're going to see is, okay, now instead of playing this role within the team, instead of it being Black Panther, it's going to be Spider-Man who plays that role. But it's still going to be our characters start here, they move here, they end here to set up Infinity. Or they blow it all up into something completely different.
No, I think it's what you're talking about. I think it's where they just took out Black Panther and put in Spider-Man. They make some changes. I'm guessing if there were 2 scripts, that the scripts were pretty similar, and they just integrated the different characters. Sure. And like you said, I think they already have a plan, and that's why probably Black Panther got pushed back, because they probably like all that stuff that happened to him in Civil War now didn't happen to him, so they're going to change that up.
All right, what's next?
Billy Rock writes, what is your favorite animal and human relationship in film? Mine is Babe and James Cromwell and Babe.
That is an awesome one. That's a great one. For me, it's going to have to, there's an emotional reason for this because it's my dad's all-time favorite movie. But I adore it. Old Yeller and his Old Yeller and his boy. Yeah. That to me, oh man, seriously, that's one of those movies where there's 4 or 5 movies in history. You don't cry at the end. Yeah. There's something just empirically wrong with you. I mean, the end of Old Yeller is just so amazing. So that would be mine.
I guess Han and Chewie doesn't count, right? I'd say Turner and Hooch.
That's a good one.
Because Tom Hanks in that movie just does not want a dog, and I've known people like that and get the dog. I don't need this dog. And next they're just the best of buds, and it works out, and it really is. It was a good buddy cop movie with the guy and the dog.
I mean, I had to think long and hard about which one's my favorite, but the only one that really comes to the top of my head is the animated version of Charlotte's Web.
Oh, so. Yeah. All right, what's next?
DJ writes, what are some books that you would want to see made into a movie or trilogies?
This comes up every once in a while, and it's always a good one. The one I always default to is Shogun by James Clavell. Now, Shogun was done as a miniseries back in the 80s, I believe, and the dude who played Sala in the Indiana Jones franchise, he was one of the lead characters there. Shogun is awesome. It's just incredible, and I think it is ripe for not just a film, but I think you could do a trilogy with Shogun, and I think it has all the elements that would be commercially successful too. Going back to feudal Japan, the action in it, the intrigue, the drama of it, I think it would work really well. So I would love to see Shogun. Christian?
I have to think about it a little bit more too, because there's a lot as far as trilogies go, and I don't know. Dennis, pass. Think about it.
I mean, before Lord of the Rings, I thought that franchise that the Black Cauldron was part of, the Lloyd Alexander's The Chronicles of Pryden, like that series, they probably ripped off a lot of the stuff from Lord of the Rings, but I thought that would have been a good movie trilogy.
All right, last one.
Jack Cousins writes, what is your favorite guilty pleasure sports movie?
Oh, well, I mean, Ashley and I talked about this on Mailbag not so long ago. Best of the best.
Oh, that's a good one.
James Earl Jones, Eric Roberts, Dahan, that movie gives me chills. In case you didn't see it on Mailbag, I talked about this. The ending of this movie is one of the best guy moments in the history of film. The North Korean Taekwondo team is lined up across from the American Taekwondo team. It's the medal ceremony. The North Koreans win, but only because in the last match, the American decided to hold back because if he hit the Korean again, he might have killed him. And it's this dude, Dae-han, who earlier in his life had accidentally killed the American guy's brother in competition, and that's the guy he spared. And so these two teams are lined up against each other, and they go and they give the gold medals to North Koreans, but after he gets his gold medal, Dae-han, beaten and bruised from his fight with Tommy, he starts to limp and drag himself across the aisle and comes to face with Tommy, and he says, I deeply regret, in his very, very broken English, I deeply regret the loss of your brother, and I offer myself to you as your new brother. And he takes the gold medal off and puts it on. I'm getting so excited thinking about it. I love this movie. Best of the best. Best ever.
So you like that?
I love that movie. That ending is so good.
So it's just okay, right?
Yeah,
it's so
just
good.
all right. How do you follow that? For me, as far as a guilty movie or sports, I mean, Necessary Roughness. Is that the one with Scott Bakula?
Yeah, I think so.
That movie when it's on, it's just this cast of misfits, and for some reason, Kathy Ireland as the kicker and all this stuff that's going on. It's really goofy and silly, but I enjoy watching.
And it was the football version of Major League, which was fantastic.
Yeah, Major League.
Major League is probably one. Karate Kid, obviously, that's one that I watch over and over again.
All right, folks, so that'll do it for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. Don't forget to share this video on your Facebook and your Twitter. Make sure you click the thumbs up button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me, sitting right here, of course, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you online?
At Christian Harloff on Twitter, as far as at Christian Harloff on Instagram. And keep checking me out on Twitter. I'll have you more and more updates of Jedi Council as we get closer to March.
It's coming. It's coming so soon. Right over there, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, dennis.tzeng.
And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you online?
Twitter, Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Thursday, guys.
And you can find me on the various social media networks, Facebook or Twitter, just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.